Welcome. Thank you for joining me. My name is Shannon. I'm from Pick and Boots Vintage, obviously, because you're on my page watching. But if you're new to my page, thank you for watching this video. If you are watching it on the replay, make sure you do hashtag replay. All right, so last week, I want to jump in and just talk about what we did last week. Last week, I used silk black sands, and we painted these chairs. Well, I painted a chair. I finished up the chairs. But I just want to show you, look how nice they look. Painted 2 coats of black sands on here. Even the fabric. Then I gave it a light distress. And then I sanded the chair. If you don't sand the paint off the chair, it'll be crunchy. Sand it. I first sanded it with a 220, then I went back with a 400 grit. And it's nice and smooth. It's not crackly. And it'll be fine to sit on. I went ahead and just sealed it with the easy peasy spray wax just because. And now I have a set of 4 chairs done, ready to go with the dining room table that I also painted in silk. I'll post pictures of that on my website probably by Thursday, maybe Friday. All right, so today we're going to have some more fun with silk. A lot of people are still having questions about silk, so I just want to talk to you about beginner silk. What you need to do with silk and what not to do with silk. Very important that you scuff sand your piece. Scuff sanding is so important. Proper prep is very important, and there is a difference between chalk mineral paint by Dixie Belle and the silk paint by Dixie Belle. You want to make sure that you do the right proper prep. So the first thing you want to do with your piece is you want to scuff sand it, and that is just taking a little bit of sandpaper and scuffing up the surface. We are not sanding hard down to the naked wood. We are just scratching the surface just so it can grip and adhere to the paint. The wood will accept the paint. So we have these things called red pad. These are awesome because they come in several grits, so they'll cover all your different projects like sanding the chairs or scuff sanding, red pads. So that's what I'm going to use today. I've got the red pad in blue, and this one is a 220 grit. Because we're on camera and I want to save some time, I already scuff sanded and washed down here, but I want to show you up top how easy it is to do. So just take your sanding paper, and I'm just going to give it a light sanding. Here are the handles. A light sanding, just to rough up the surface so it will accept the paint. So there you go. You see, just very light. Now, the next step, which is very important, is also you need to use the white lightning cleaner or some kind of cleaner. I use white lightning, and I already pre-mixed it and I have it in a spray bottle. I'm going to spray the top. You can have it in a bucket, you can have it in a rag, whatever way, as long as you used it. I recommend scuff sanding first, so when you go back with the cleaner, you can get all of the sand debris off. So, I'm going to clean the top with, ew, look at that. See, this is why we do this. Very important, because this stuff right here can stop your paint from sticking or allow the paint to scratch. There we are. That is why we do it. This also indicates that this piece is probably going to be a bleeder. When I mean bleeder, that means tannins or something will come through. So, I'm going to give it one more spray just because it was so dirty. All right. And it's still yucky. So after you have cleaned your surface with white lightning, what you need to do next is you need to use some water, whether you use a damp rag, spray bottle, or I'm going to use my mister bottle because that is what I have handy. My spray bottle, I'm just going to mist a little bit of water on top here. The reason why you want to do that is because you want to make sure you get all the residue from the cleaner off. Sometimes, if you don't wipe carefully, you can leave a little bit of that residue behind, and we don't want any residue behind. So there we have it. Our piece is ready to go. Keep in mind, before I started this video today, I already did the bottom. The reason why I did that is because silk doesn't like water. So I wanted to make sure the piece was dry before I got started. This is still damp to the touch because I just washed it. So this is all clean, scuff sanded, and ready to go. I'm going to save the top for painting for last because I want to make sure it's dry. You always want to make sure that your furniture is dry when you start painting it, especially with the silk. Now, I'm going to leave these little handles on purely because there's only one drawer. Where is it? Nope, there it is. There's one drawer, and with the screw, the rest of them are nailed on. And I'd pop one of the nails off, but then I'd have to use my screwdriver to pop the rest off. So I'm just going to leave them all on, and then I'm going to use a smaller brush to cut around it. And then if I happen to get any paint on the hardware, I'll just either use my baby wipe to wash it off, or I will go back anyway and use my gilding wax. And the same with the feet. I'm not sure if the feet are in the camera, but these have the metal feet on the bottom. Those are going to be a little bit easier to avoid when I'm painting. So I've already stirred the paint before we got started. Shook it. Now what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to cut around the hardware just so then I can go back and quickly put on my silk. Now a lot of you are probably wondering, well, how do you know which paint to use and when? When do I use the Dixie Belle chalk mineral paint as opposed to the silk? Well, they serve two totally different purposes. Chalk paint, the chalk mineral paint by Dixie Belle, is perfect for blending and mixing and coming up with different colors. It's really good for being creative. Silk, on the other hand, doesn't like water, and it already has a built-in primer, the paint, and sealer. So it's basically prep, paint, done. It is perfect for kitchen cabinets, bathroom cabinets, because the silk paint has, or is, oops, I'm spinning this around and my paint is going to the other side. It's great for kitchen cabinets and bathroom cabinets because it's mildew resistant, water resistant, which in the bathroom and in kitchens, there's a lot of water. Oh, and grease resistant. Did I say that? Grease and water resistant and mildew resistant. So that is huge, which also makes this really good for outside. I get asked a lot, do I need to put any gator hide or sealer on top of the silk? No, it's built in. Now, there would be a time where maybe I would add a little bit, maybe more gator hide or some sealer, is if it's the top of a dining room table or that's going to get a lot of use, then sure, add some more gator hide. But if you're just painting your kitchen cabinets or your bathroom cabinets, you don't need the extra protection because it's built in. Okay, so now you can see that I went around, I just cut into around all the hardware. I just want to make sure. There we go. Now we're going to use my favorite brush. This is the oval medium. This one is awesome for, see all these grooves and details? The little ledges and all this down here. Having this fat brush really gets in there in a wide range. This is my other favorite brush, the mini, but this one doesn't do quite as well on the details. That's why I like this fat one for that one. This one is perfect for smooth surfaces. Like this one will be really good for the top when the top dries, as I'm feeling it's still a little bit wet. All right, so let's go ahead and start with our silk. I'm using the color Wharf. And I'm just going to simply put it on. Oops, I just flattered myself. Those of you that watch me regularly know that I paint kind of fast. I'm going to try to slow it down just a little bit. And since I go fast, this might be why I'm always covered in paint. Now this is a gorgeous color. To me, it kind of reminds me of almost stormy seas, but maybe just a little lighter. Today, we're only going to probably, hey BBJ, probably going to get one coat on for time's sake, but I will, of course, always, when it's finished, post a picture of when it's done. Oops, I keep doing that. I need to put my paint up here so I don't swivel it and keep losing it. If you can hear the music, you might not recognize it. Facebook and YouTube are very big on not having any copyrighted music in the background. I know because I've tried to upload videos and it has banned them because of the audio in the background. So I have some royalty-free music playing and I never know what's going to come on. But if you've ever been to the store, you know that I like to sing and I like to hear music, and it just helps the creative process when you have music or something going, at least for me. Does anybody else out there need music or something when they're painting? Oh, okay. Now I did get a little bit of the warp on the handle, and that's okay because I can either go back with my baby wipe and wipe it off, or when I go back later I'm going to touch it up with some gilding wax, whichever way. If you have Vaseline hand, you can also put a little bit of Vaseline on the edges of that, and that way when you go back and just take a paper towel, wipe it off, it'll come right off the paint. The paint will not stick. All kinds of tips. So I'm going to use my little brush right here. All right, so there is the apron. Now I'm going to go down to the legs. Move this out of the way. Now again, the oval medium brush is perfect for these little ridges and grooves. Let me show you. Look, see how easy that was? Done. Now if I was using the mini brush, I would have had to have gone each layer, but this oval medium brush, I cannot speak enough about it. Just look how fast that is. Well, it does help that I have this spinny thing, but see how easy that was? Now that is done. I have learned to get products that make painting easier, because I used to just be on the floor, crawling around on my knees, hurting my back. Now I have lifts, wheelchairs, all kinds of fun things. And I tell you what, it does make a huge difference. So there, that's already done. Now let me do each leg. And then we'll go to the top because, whoops, the top is now dry from where I cleaned it and scuff sanded. These legs have really deep grooves on them, but watch how this oval medium just gets right in there and fills it up. I cannot speak highly enough about this brush. I know I keep talking about it, but I'm doing the grooves first, and then I'm going to go back and do the sides because I have drips. That's because I'm pushing into the grooves, which is going to make it drip on the sides, but I'm going to go back and level those out. There we go. See how easy that was? I tell you what, this brush, even though I'm currently out, there's a shortage on brushes right now with Dixie Belle, but another retailer might have them. When they come back in stock, I'll let you know, but they are the best. They're so good that I keep selling out of them. See? And the silk just goes on. So look at how easy that goes on. And it's got great coverage. If I were going to distress this piece, I could stop after one coat. However, I don't want to do heavy distress because it's in, because of the piece and the error of the age of this table. I want to keep it covered with paint. If you know somebody that would like to watch the video on silk, make sure you share it with your friends or on your page or to a group. I always like to get the information out there. Ta-da! So there is one quick coat of the silk on this piece. Now that the top is dry, I'm going to go ahead and paint the top. I'm just going to stay with my oval medium purely because it's dirty. Normally on flat surfaces I would use my mini, but the best thing to do here is look at the grain and just go with it. Long strokes. And while you're doing this, you will probably get drippage on the edges, and that's okay. We'll go back and fix that. You just want to make sure you give it a nice, even coat. This is the part that most people will see, the top of it, unless, of course, you got it covered with something. Let me flip it this way. I know you really can't see the top, but trust me, it's looking good. Long strokes. As I want to get a nice even layer. I'm going to go back, make sure. Here we go. Now what I want to do, there's drips all through here. So I'm just going to take my brush and I'm just going to clean up the edge. You want to catch the drips before they dry. It's way easier to deal with the drips while they're wet than when they're dry. Hear this song? Gotta love royalty-free music, right? Alright, so there we have it. One coat of the silk on this drum table. I am going to be putting another coat on when it dries. Real quick, I'm going to recap what we did, because you want proper prep when you use silk. It's very important. You don't want it to come off. You invested a lot of money in the paint, which is worth every penny, but make sure when you get a piece, you want to scuff sand it. You don't need any slick stick. You don't need any of that. You just want to scuff sand it, wash it with white lightning, rinse it with a little bit of water, let it completely dry. You don't want any water. You don't want it wet. Let it dry. Give it a coat of silk. Walk away. Come back. Put a second coat on, and you're done. And you will have your friends telling you what a gorgeous job you did on your piece of furniture. Remember, silk can be used on wood, obviously, but it also can be used on fabric. Look at these chairs we did. I've seen several people use silk on fabric, and so far, so good. It's holding up really well. The vendor at the store here, she used white cap. It looks beautiful. When you feel it, it just feels like outdoor fabric. It feels very, very slick, very nice, not crusty at all. That video, if you want information, I did that last week, or you can check out my YouTube channel, Pick and Moves Vintage. Any questions? Go ahead and type them in. I will answer them afterwards. I just can't see the iPad to see what questions you might have, but I always go back and answer them. And when I'm done, I will put a final picture on my Facebook page. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me again on Tuesday at 11. I'll be back on the main page, Dixie Belle page. I think it's April 20th at 9 a.m. Other than that, you will see me here Tuesdays. All right, have a great day, guys.